Thank God that the brothers on the rise now. Endless celebrations all in my house. Levitating now, I'm super duper fly now. London boy, but DC where I reside now. Put the time in while you always yelling time out. And to quit it, cause I know I'm coming with it. You were sitting, you were wishing I was.
Hello everybody and welcome into the Grindstone Developments Truck Series, live in fabulous Viva Las Vegas for some action at the first mile and a half of the season. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You are watching Austin Green on PGR eSports. Well, last week we had a late race thriller. James Harris getting the job done. He got the first win of the season. Here tonight, we'll see if we get a repeat winner or if somebody else can find their way to victory lane. Let's get right down trackside and get into tonight's starting grid. The man on the pole is none other than the 99 of Bryce Rayner, puts down a 30.464. Trey Whitehead will start to the outside in second in that number 71 machine. Back in row number 2, it's going to be last season's second place finisher in the championship, Nathan Meyer, alongside Elijah Palmeter. George Young back in 5th with last week's winner James Harris in 6th. It'll be Casey Sprinkle making his first start of the season here tonight. He will start in that 7th spot. Asher Little to his outside at 8th in the 01. And it'll be Sheldon Pearson alongside John Legger rounding out your top 10. Back in row number 6, it's Brock Whitehead alongside Brad Thacker in the number 56. Back the 13th spot, it'll be Jamison Correa alongside Tyler Meeks. Ryan High, Kevin Kirchar making up row number 8 with Jason Nethery in 17th. William Mann Jr. back in 18th with Chris Logan in 19th. And Charles Whitehead rounding out your 20 truck field. Brief look at the race info here tonight. It is the Las Vegas 120, so we will go 120 miles. That breaks down to 80 laps. These guys do have 100% fuel. 2 sets of tires, 1 fast repair, fixed setups. 2 green-white checkers. Las Vegas Motor Speedway, 1.5 miles in length, but plenty of banking in the corners to make it one of the raciest tracks that we go to. Here we go. Second race of the season. Green flag is in the air. We are racing in Las Vegas. Good restart out of the gate. Everybody 2 by 2 as they work off towards turn number 1 for the first time here tonight. Already, Rayner's going to single file him up as he takes the inside. Nathan Meyer actually able to quickly get himself shuffled up to that 2nd spot. Trey Whitehead files back to 3rd. Even further back, 3 wide. James Harris looking to the inside of the 59 of Casey Sprinkle. Harris now 3 wide. George Young up top. Nowhere to go. Somebody's going to have to give. Harris does. Asher Little to his inside. They're beating and banging down the front stretch. Trouble. Harris going to go around 1. Back up hard into the outside wall. Caution is out. The 13 of Brian High spinning further up front. He'll back it hard into the inside tire barriers. Just like that, trouble early in Sin City. Caution on lap number 1. And we have seen, well, I shouldn't say we've seen yet, but we've heard some of the risk that these guys are willing to take in the shorter term now that we've switched over to fixed setups. And early on, You're going to see a lot of aggression on really any restart that we see here tonight. Unfortunately, that can be the consequence that a lot of these guys are going to face if you fall back and lose some of that track position. All right, let's go back to where this all starts. Up right around James Harris and Asher Little. This was actually as they were working their way through turn 3 and 4 and coming out of 4. You see Harris, he dives to the bottom all the way back here going into turn 3 on Casey Sprinkle. But remember, first lap, these guys are still on cold tires, and Harris is just loose, chasing the back end of the truck, trying to catch it. He does. But then you see Asher Little trying to check up, gets hit by the 316 behind who had nowhere to go. That was Sheldon Pearson. And now Asher Little just trying to get off of James Harris here, who's still trying to save it. And eventually Harris gets into the driver's side door with Pearson, and it's on from there. A couple of big hits, especially Sheldon Pearson, who you saw go head on into the outside wall. You got to think his truck is going to need to take the fast repair pretty early on. As we give you another angle of it here from the front view, show you what it looked like for the 316. There's the contact. And you're in kind of that curved trial that just immediately sends James Harris around. Here goes the 316 back up the track, and Jamison Correa nowhere to go. Tries to minimize the damage the best he really can. As you see a couple of these trucks getting light, shows you just how fast they're running here at Las Vegas. And the other big hit, of course, here was Brian High, who we saw initially get clipped, but really it was the second hit he took that was the one that did all the damage for him. Here's what it looked like. Gets turned here and just never able to quite get the left foot on the brakes, and hoping maybe that thing spins around and straightens up on him, but he runs out of real estate. And again, heavy contact into the inside tire barriers. Another view of it here from the blimp cam is we sped that up, slow it down for you though here. I think again, James Harris and Pearson. Harris gets lucky. He actually saves it when he goes down to the grass. It's Pearson, Correa, and High who take the biggest hits. That's a tough break for Correa, who had a decent start last week, caught up in an incident. And here he is again tonight, caught up early in what is your first caution of the night. But I don't think you're going to necessarily hear me saying it's your last, especially on any of these restarts we have. I think you're going to see trouble strike the most. There's the pit lane view. You see the 81 up top, a couple others that have to dodge through the grass. And so with your first caution of the night, we'll rack them up for another restart here. Just 4 laps in the book, 1 lap under green. And it is Nathan Meyer lining up as your race leader. Trey Whitehead in second. Bryce Rayner back in third. Casey Sprinkle in fourth in the number 59 machine. And George Young currently rounding out your top 5. That's the way they line up at the moment. Hey, again, if you're just tuning in, we do appreciate you being here. Hope everybody's having a good Tuesday evening. We're watching the Grindstone Developments Truck Series live from virtual Las Vegas. And get your picks in. This is one of those tracks that, you know, it kind of runs like a hybrid. Similar to what you would see at a Daytona or Talladega early on. There's a lot of drafting that goes into play here. But then eventually, if you get long enough into the run, the tires do start to wear down. And when they do, you're going to start to see some separation between the guys that saved tires and the ones that didn't. Speaking of drivers, here's one of the driver cams that we have tonight. Trey Whitehead, the driver out of Cleburne, Texas. And I apologize if I pronounced the town name wrong, but nonetheless, he's got the Advanced Auto Parts Chevy Silverado, currently parked in the second spot. He'll be looking to see if he can make up some ground on this restart. And when I say make up some ground, he's really only got 1 spot to make up at the moment. Trying to get past your leader. That is Nathan Meyer. All right, iRacing.com pace car. Going to make the left turn for the second time here tonight. Let's try this again. Calamity on the first restart. Can they get it together on this one? Green flag back in the air. 6 laps complete at Las Vegas. And a good restart this time. A little bit more space given as the field already trying to fan out. 3 wide further back. Meeks and Asher Little trying to get lined up bumper to bumper. Meanwhile, the front 4 have pulled away. Nathan Meyer using that inside line to his advantage. And oh man, Casey Sprinkle had the door slammed on him by the 99 of Bryce Rayner. He's going to look to get back even as they go through 3. Sprinkle's going to take the shorter way around. Rayner's got the momentum up top. They'll stay side by side as they work off a turn number 4. And oh man, still working for a little bit of elbow room. Trey Whitehead had to check up just a little bit. Now trouble out back. One almost up and over George Young. Hard into the outside wall, and he's going to collect a bunch of them. The 55 of Harris collected in this one as well. And the 51 of Charles Whitehead, nowhere to go either. Caution now out for the second time here tonight. And for Harris, you see the back end of that truck smoke out of it, and that is an indication he will have to take the fast repair. So he got lucky to not receive much damage in that first caution, or his night would be done with less than 10 laps in the books. All right, let's go back, take a look at it. We caught kind of the tail end of it, or I guess I should say the tail end of the start of it. George Young was the first truck to really go around, and you see him 3 wide just after they crossed the start-finish line here with the 7 of Tyler Meeks. And also, it looks like the 12 there of Elijah Palmeter. And I wonder if this is just going to be these guys kind of squeezing each other out of room. It's very easy to do here. And as we watch it here first from the blimp cam, you see Young up top. Palmeter's got to run. He takes it to the middle. And eventually, as they get to the line here, it looks like Meeks and Palmeter maybe getting together just a little bit. That starts to wash Palmeter up the track, and I think there might have been some netcode between these two. It certainly looked like it from that view. Let's see. Oh, man, massive netcode between the 12 of Palmeter and the 48 of George Young. Now, granted, with as quick as the 12 was going up the racetrack here, I almost think that they may have still made contact regardless. But before they're touching, you can clearly see just immediately shoots that 48 as if he's getting tagged in the left rear and sends him around. Big air under the back end of that truck, sends him into the outside wall, and then we're going to have some innocent bystanders here that come along and just really have nowhere to go through this one. Take the brunt of it. There you see the 51 of Charles Whitehead getting turned out back. That's what sends him up and forces Harris to go high. Unfortunately, he barrels in to the 48. It's collected as well. And yeah, that was the 29 down there of William Mann Jr., car that I was noting getting collected in kind of the back end of this, if you will. And I'm curious to see what this looked like from the onboard view of James Harris, who we talked about getting collected kind of in the later end of this, if you will. So watch it here. I think we're going to go to his just regular cockpit view and see what it looked like at full speed, and watch how he has to commit to the outside. Sees him wrecking on the brakes, but sees a 51 coming up. Unfortunately, doesn't really have many choices, and that was a pretty big hit to the back end. Certainly got to think that knocked out some suspension. So he'll have to go in for some repairs. There's more different angles of this one right here. And this is, again, that second incident. There's William Mann Jr. just trying to get on the brakes, but not able to check up quite enough in time. Things just happened so quick. And then for Harris, there's that massive hit. Look at this thing up into the catch fence. Sparks fly. Eventually, all trucks do get back on all 4 tires. And one more angle of this now for the initial hit for George Young. This was wild looking for the 48. Look at that thing. Up almost on its side. Before, again, he eventually gets into the outside wall, and then there's nowhere to go from there. All right, so as we turn our attention back live, getting ready for third restart of the night, it'll be Nathan Meyer, Casey Sprinkle on the front row for this one. Bryce Rayner and Trey Whitehead back in row 2. The front 5 have seemed to have kept it pretty clean so far here tonight. The chaos has been from about the middle of the pack on back, so I think that's going to tell you something about how important these guys feel track position is, but good time to note that nobody taken a set of tires yet. Remember, you only have 2 sitting in the pits. For an 80-lap race, you can do the math, but break it down as you have 3 sets of tires total to work with, because, of course, you got to include the one that you start with on the truck. And that's pretty much telling you you're going to have to run at least 20 laps. That's just if it was a 60-lap race, add 20 more. Certainly going to have to run probably 27 or close to 30 on one of these starts to make something happen. So we'll see what these guys can do over the course of a long run if we get it. And certainly still a pit stop is in play. All right, working back into the Geico restart zone. Nathan Meyer, Casey Sprinkle will see the green flag back in the air, as it's Nathan Meyer who gets the bigger jump as the race leader. Casey Sprinkle not really caught sleeping, just that outside wasn't quite able to get lined up as quickly. Sprinkle quickly going to jump back down to the bottom of the racetrack. The 71 of Trey Whitehead will follow. It's a 5-car single truck draft train. Single file, I should say, draft train. And man, look at everybody snake around. They're trying to find whatever clean air they can get in the corners. Remember, the draft helps you on the straightaway, but it hurts the front end of your truck as you start to go through the corners. Big move here from Trey Whitehead. He was able to get to the left rear of Casey Sprinkle. going through 3 and 4. Now he gets the side draft down the straightaway, and he may have a shot to try to pull clear down into turn number 1. He'll do just that. The 71 now up to third. Asher Little trying to follow his way through. Casey Sprinkle losing all sorts of momentum right now, trying to find a spot back in line. And 19 of John Legger, another driver on the move, now up 4 positions from where he started this race at. Paul Meter's going to take a look to his inside right here. This is sometimes where it gets a little dicey. Remember, no out of bounds, so you can go below the apron here, but you got to merge back up before you get to the turn. There's the 91 of Kevin Kirchard, the GCM machine. He's going to look to the middle here on Legger and Paul Meter. Paul Meter slams the door. Kirchard will go down and be okay with pushing for the moment. Still really tight racing here from about 4th to about 10th. Throw them all under a blanket as these guys just fighting for any sort of real estate that they can get. And I think you'll see these trucks probably run at least 10 to 15, maybe stretching it towards 20 laps where they can still kind of all hang with each other using the draft. But then after that point is when I think you'll start to see the tires come into play. Once they've worn out a little bit, the draft won't be quite as effective. And that's certainly when we could start to see some of the moves try to be made for these guys going to the front that have saved tire. And the guys who haven't, potentially starting to fall towards the back. There's the onboard view for Tyler Meeks on the outside, currently up 7 positions from where he started this race from. Remember, he finished 2nd last week, feeling pretty good coming into tonight as he sees 3 wide in front of him. John Legger on the outside. They're going to have some momentum, but what a move from Casey Sprinkle. He just got a 2 for 1, was able to clear both Rayner and Legger, and now gets himself back up into the top 4. Nathan Meyer, though, as it stands, currently is your race leader. The 71 of Whitehead continues to follow. I think the top 3 are okay with staying single file because they see what's going on out back here and they want no part of it. These guys have been 3 wide, swapping lanes back and forth since we had this restart. And clearly an indication that those 2 early cautions not calming anybody down, at least not yet. Another big move right there. That time that was from, looked like the 61 of Brock Whitehead. You see James Harris back here in the 55, just kind of playing it easy right now. Remember, he did have to take his fast repair. Obviously not the only driver that's had to do that so far here tonight, but just trying to conserve that truck so that he's got something to work with towards the end of this race, especially as these guys are still as racy as they are at the moment. Brad Thacker in at 12th, as he currently remains as the last man in that lead pack. Second pack right now being led by Chris Logan and Jason Nethery, who run side by side. Then you've got George Young, who was involved in that last caution, and Jamison Correa trying to draft up with those 2. Charles Whitehead and Brian Hyde back in 17th and 18th. And it's William Mann Jr. currently running by himself. Sheldon Pearson actually still within the general range of William Mann Jr., but another one of the trucks that is not on the lead lap. Both him and William Mann Jr. 1 lap down. Excuse me, Pearson is 2 laps down. As we turn our attention now back to the front, Nathan Meyer still currently leading the way. Asher Little has now made his way up to 2nd. And so for Casey Sprinkle here, currently sitting in that 3rd spot, he's waiting to see who's going to make that next move. You get a little bit more of a cushion if you're the leader and the guy in 2nd, but it just seems like right now from 4th or 5th on back is where everybody is just bumper to bumper. And I know I referenced it earlier, but it really does look like we're at a Talladega or a Daytona, especially with as much pushing and shoving as we're seeing. We've seen a couple guys try to get tandemed up here down both Neal's straightaway and the front straightaway. As we show you what the speeds are looking like for the truck. Trouble! John Legger's around. Through the grass, he saves it. Oh my goodness. What a save from the 19 of John Legger. I was just getting ready to show you his telemetry. And he had trouble off of turn 4, but makes arguably the save of the night. Just a quarter of the way through this race, he's going to lose all sorts of track position. But what he did do was save that race car. Let's go back and look at it here. Him and Kirchard were racing tight. And as they come up off of turn 4, Kirchard just starting to wash up a little bit. And that's all it takes. Clips Legger in the left rear and sends the 19 around down through the grass. But boy, what a save to straighten that truck up. Not go all the way around. Fortunately, the trade-off when you make a great save like that is he doesn't catch the caution as you see him throwing some of that grass off the grill onto the racetrack. But what a save. by the 19 of John Legger. Now back right around where William Mann Jr. currently runs. So still a lot of action, but what you're starting to notice all of a sudden is while they're still pretty tight together, there's not as much 2x2. Things are starting to single file out a little bit. That starts to tell me that each truck is getting less and less competitive the further back you go, especially with all that dirty air. Elijah Palmeter right there got up into the outside wall as he was trying to run the top lane through turn 1 and 2. Not quite able to do it, though. The 24 of Nathan Meyer still leads the way. Clean Air, his best friend right now. (23 of 80 laps complete. By the way, we talked about the schedule last week, and you're going to hear me talk about it quite a bit tonight as we get later on into the race, but it's really a good setup in the fact that we've got so many good tracks. Las Vegas, obviously, the first of, I think, quite a few favorites for the drivers, and then obviously next week, we're going to be off to Daytona International Speedway, so maybe you can take a few notes of basic drafting from here on to next weekend, next Tuesday. And obviously, I know these guys are very experienced. They run C-Fixed and C-Opens all week to get prepared for these races. But still, I think it's just a great opportunity for a lot of these drivers as, ooh, man, Trey Whitehead, I think said right there to Asher Little, hey, listen, you're not going to be blocking me this early in the race. Tries to make it work to the inside, but he just can't quite do it. And now he's going to have to back it up and try to make another run here. He'll go to the inside again as they go through turn 3 and actually gave a little shove right there to Asher Little. I can tell you what that was. He's not too pleased with the 0-1 right now, and I've seen Asher quite a bit in Super Speedway Series, and he's about as aggressive as they come, but sometimes it's a little bit of a different mentality when you get into these kind of races, and you gotta keep yourself taken care of early on, and to do that, you got to take care of other guys. If you're Asher Little and you start doing too many blocks here, the 71's not your friend at the end. Could certainly play not in your favor. Trey Whitehead here continues to try that outside line. He wants to get the momentum here, but he's burning up his tires doing so. Just can't quite seem to get enough to make anything happen. Casey Sprinkle, what will he do? As he is now pulled up to the back bumper of 2nd and 3rd. He'll look to the outside. Whitehead will pull up a lane 2. Whitehead's had enough. He's going to go down here and says, you know what, Asher Little, I've had enough, and I'm not going to take it anymore. He's got to be careful here. Might turn the 0-1 around and get himself a penalty as he's going to be right on the bumper. What does he do here in the 3 and 4? He's going to go to the inside, and I don't think he's going to lift this time for Asher Little. They might get door-to-door coming up off of 4. But again, Asher Little able to fend him off as Casey Sprinkle gets wicked loose. Coming off of turn 4 on the outside, but all that momentum was able to pull the 59 clear of the 71. So he'll now follow Asher Little through, sits in that 3rd spot. As it looks like we had a truck that had to go to the pits here. Not sure what the deal was, but that was Chris Logan in the 70. As, by the way, this was Kevin Kirchar on that same incident between him and John Legger. I forgot to show you this, but he made a heck of a save as well. As you see the 91 go through the grass here, and has to really keep it down there. This goes for a big slide. Eventually, it'll emerge back on the racetrack. Trouble. Caution. Right as we went to look at the review, big trouble here for trying to figure out who this is. Elijah Palmeter with heavy front nose damage to his Ford F-150. And I'm seeing 2 or 3 other trucks involved in this as well. George Young, one of them. Brad Thacker, those 2 trucks. Heavy damage. Thacker is destroyed. In fact, George Young trying to give him a push just to limp it back to the pits so that he doesn't have to pay the tow bill. Let's go back and see if we can break down what in the world went wrong on this one. Looks like whatever happened may have started here with the 12 of Elijah Palmeter and the 56 of Brad Thacker, who are running side by side here down the backstretch. And you see Elijah Palmeter here in the middle of the racetrack. That's the 55 of Harris up top. Brad Thacker down low. And, ooh, man, that looks like Palmeter's loose. Looks like he's loose. Coming up off the corner here, I think the truck starts to slip out just a little bit on him. Let's watch the cockpit first. Watch the steering wheel. Well, maybe not. I don't know. That's a tough call. He's certainly putting a lot of wheel into it, which makes me think he really wasn't loose. I wonder if maybe he was just looking in the mirror and saw that the 56 was coming up pretty quick. He was trying to get down there to cover it for either a block or a big push, but see, he's not quite clear there, so Thacker goes a lane lower. Then the 12 tries to block him again. Thacker goes up. Palmeter comes back up, and They just clean each other out. I don't really know what that was. That was a very odd-looking incident, to say the least. Paul Meter takes a massive shot, and then see down towards the bottom there, Brad Thacker. He's going to take equally as big of a hit. Both slide up, and then George Young, I think, is he going to slide in late to this? How does he get involved here? Ooh. So I'm sliding right at the last second, and oh man, I think William Mann Jr. might have got involved here too. 48 actually misses it, just slides down low, but then here comes William Mann Jr., and bam. Nowhere to go. He tags the 48 in the left rear. So certainly some pretty significant damage there for about 3 or 4 different trucks. I want to go to the onboard view here again for Elijah Palmater. We're going to watch this play through completely. And you be the judge here on what this looks like. Watch his steering inputs. There's the block, second block. Now he's loose. So I don't think when he goes back up right, it's anything intentional. I think at that point, it's just the truck's out of control on him. But I'm just still more so confused as to why it looked like he was so aggressive with the block. Now, granted, I think Thacker might have gotten a little bit loose here when he tried to initially avoid the block right there. And maybe not. No, I take that back. Just think a little bit too much blocking right there from Elijah Palmater. Gets himself in trouble. And there's that big hit. Look at that thing up in the air. Fire out of the pipes. And then unfortunately for Brad Thacker here, he's going to clobber the inside wall. And it doesn't stop there. Here comes George Young. He's going to pile into the mix here. In fact, does a good job getting on the brakes and missing the first part. And then see Kirchar able to miss it. William Mann Jr. was not. One more angle of this here from TV2. At full speed. And Thacker actually takes a second pretty good hit on the outside wall. So that brings out your third caution of the night, as we are now officially 30 of 80 laps complete. Get ready for the restart here as the field works their way off of turn 4. It'll be Nathan Meyer and Asher Little ready to take us back to green. Approaching the halfway point. As green flag now back in the air. Nathan Meyer got a big jump that time. The 71 goes with him. That's exactly what Trey Whitehead wanted to do. Got stuck behind the 01 on that last run. This time he's going to get in front, and they're trying to pull the 61 of Brock Whitehead along as well. Casey Sprinkle going to let Asher Little down. They'll stay single file through about the front 10. Meanwhile, the 34 Jason Ethery side by side here with Kevin Kirchar. Now they'll single file out. The only ones that are still 2x2 are the ones further back in the draft. By the way, looks like Bryce Rayner, one of the few drivers, decided to make a pit stop. Hold on to it. Charles Whitehead. Oh my goodness, what a save. The 51, he got wicked loose off of turn 4 right there, then had some contact from the 30. Chris Logan, he's already loose. Logan's going to get into him, and then look at this thing go. Oh my goodness, 45 degrees towards the infield. Somehow straightens that truck up and still keeps it within the draft. 3 wide now for second. Asher Little in the middle. Trey Whitehead up top. Asher Little's loose. Slide into Whitehead. Those two will continue to beat doors down the front stretch. Now watch out. You got the 61 Brock Whitehead coming on the inside. He's got some momentum. The 71 of Trey Whitehead going to duck in behind what I would assume is his teammate. Asher Little up top. No help, but he will have momentum down the backstretch here. You assume everybody's going to jump up, but Whitehead will not. He'll stay down to help Trey Whitehead. As these two stall each other out, that will allow the front 3 to try to run away. James Harris trying to make his way back up here now as well. As they cross the line this time, now 7 laps from the halfway point in this race. As by the way, as far as pit stops go, during that last caution, definitely did not see a ton of drivers make a pit stop, at least not a ton of your front runners. Well, maybe we did. It's kind of a tough call on that. Fact is, these guys continue to go at it 2x2. I want to go back and show you this pit stop here because I'm looking at it and I really can't tell, to be honest here. I think a fair amount of your front runners actually did pit, which would make sense. That's why I was a little confused there. And yeah, it looks like, see Nathan Meyer, yeah, pretty much everybody pit here. So I guess the moral of the story I'm making here is I'm not really sure what happened to the 99 of Rayner. Whatever it was, we missed it. That's got him buried so far back, but certainly has his work cut out for him. He's going to try to get back towards the front of the field by the end of this one. 35 36 now of 80 laps complete as they cross the line, and a little bit of separation now. The 12 of Paul Meter getting chased by the 91 of Kirchar and James Harris. Here comes Tyler Meeks as well. Brad Thacker, boy, quick recovery for the number 56. He's already got himself, well, actually, unless he's a lap down here. Oh, I take it back. Thacker's a lap down. That's why he's up here running with the lead pack. Trying to race for that lucky dog position. Still side by side as they run at the moment, 2 by 2, and back up towards the front of the field. Nathan Meyer continues to lead the way. 59 is Sprinkle second. 61, Brock Whitehead in third. Trey Whitehead fourth. And boy, these two have had a phenomenal battle all night, and you wonder if it's going to turn into a bit of a rivalry. Asher Little, it kind of reminds you of what Ryan Newman did, and that's why it frustrates guys, is because he doesn't go by the motto of, oh, well, it's early on, I'm not going to race that aggressive. He races every lap as if you're racing the last lap. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just how Asher Little is, and that's what makes him so good at these tracks. And he continues to tell Whitehead right here, listen, I'm racing you every lap. I'm not pushing you back to the front. If you don't like it, get out of the way. But these two continue their aggression, and you get a little nervous that at some point they may end up cleaning each other out if they get too aggressive. But nonetheless, it's certainly been fun to watch here tonight. Asher Little ducks in line behind the 71 again, looking to see if he can get a big enough draft to cross him over through the corner. He cannot do it. He'll look again on the front stretch. Paul Meter out back. You saw get into the outside wall. Now Asher Little will get to the outside. He's got some momentum. Him and Whitehead, they touch again. That time it forces Little a trouble out back. That's Kevin Kirchar. He's going to save it. No caution. I was getting ready to say that forces Asher Little to check up. But Kirchar with a big moment there going into turn one, rather. And ooh, big damage. He's got maybe some suspension damage as well. He'll have to take it in for some repairs. Let's go see briefly what happened here to the 91. He's on the outside going into the corner. And he sees this out back, and ooh, him and Paul Meter get together. And wow, that was a big slide and a huge tank slapper with that passenger side door. So yes, certainly some damage there to the right front for Kevin Kirchar. Asher Little now, notice that. Look what he's got on the front. I'm going to keep talking about these two until it cools down, because this is what seems like kind of the story on track right now. Again, look at the, I guess, his left front. You see the little bit of damage there? That's not from anything he's hit in terms of a wall. That's from the driver that he's been racing so hard right up front, Trey Whitehead. That's some contact that he's had somewhere with the back bumper of Whitehead. It's gotten him that damage, and I'll tell you, at most tracks, you maybe not say that that's a big deal, but Las Vegas is a very aero-dependent track. Any damage on the front nose is going to slow you down a little bit, especially on the straightaway. So we'll see if Asher Little starts to fade here, or if he's able to manage until we get to a green flag stop. Paul Meter going to look to the inside on Little as we have now crossed the halfway point in this one. James Harris trying to make his way back up towards the field, still down a position from where he started this race at, as he is currently in that 7th position. He'll now look to the inside of Asher Little as well. He'll drag race all the way down. Little's going to throw a block, tries to race him back up to the top. And Harris giving a lot of front bumper. He's going to turn the 01. Asher Little tries to save it. He does now into Meeks. Asher Little still trying to save it. They're going to wreck. Asher Little down through the grass. Caution is out as the 01 is able to straighten back up after a 360 spin. Tyler Meeks, on the other hand, comes to a halt. So 43 of 80 laps complete. We see our 4th caution of the night. Go back and look at it here. We talked about you can be as aggressive as you want, but unfortunately sometimes when you get too aggressive you can frustrate other guys here, and I think James Harris didn't appreciate the blocking that he saw on the backstretch here from Asher Little, and they continue to tangle as they get into the corner. So here we go. Again, we talked about that damage maybe slowing Asher Little up a little bit. Harris gets to his inside, and then Asher Little kind of tries to drift down here. Let's see. Watch the left side tires right here. Asher Little above that seam. Harris kind of slots in line behind him there. I think Asher's coming down arguably a little bit. It doesn't look egregious, even in full speed here. It looks more so like Harris is trying to beat him back up to the top of the racetrack. Asher follows it, and then... Ooh. James Harris gets to the inside, and... Let's watch it from the cockpit view. I don't know if he just got a little bit loose with how low he was on the racetrack or what, but I want to show you this again from this point of view. So you see Asher Little maybe comes down a little bit, but then they go back up top. And as they get into the corner here, I think Harris is a little frustrated, and I certainly don't think that Harris was trying to turn him, because you can actually hear him lift out of the throttle. Watch the wheel snap and listen to him lift. Right there. You hear how he lifts the throttle? Let me be the first one to tell you, if you're trying to clean a guy out, you're not going to lift out of the throttle there. I think Harris bumped the apron or just got a little bit tight because they were, again, so low on the racetrack right here. I think he may have hit the apron. Let's see. Go back here and look at this from the chopper view. It was really close. See that truck right there? He's close. Doesn't quite hit the apron, but I still think he just gets a little bit tight and snaps up. Because when he gets into Asher Little here, Asher saves it. Then as Asher starts coming back down the track here, you've got Meeks trying to follow Harris through. Makes some more contact. Asher still trying to hang on, and eventually goes back down. Gets into the 7 of Meeks. That sends them both down through the grass. Meeks gets some air too. Asher Little, I don't know that he gets too much damage from this. Gets it back together. Keeps going in the right direction, so he'll probably be able to fix that optionally, which is good news because he'll still have that fast spare if he is to need it. Meanwhile, back up front, lights go off on the pace car, so we'll be going back green next time. 46 of 80 laps complete. You've got Brock Whitehead leading the way, Nathan Meyer in second. Trey Whitehead back in third, Elijah Palmeter fourth. James Harris currently rounding out your top 5. Reese Little says, didn't know Asher was supposed to be polite in racing. Poor Whitehead also says, Asher is frustrating drivers. This is crazy. Harris hooked Asher. Risa, I'll tell you, I completely agree. Harris definitely did hook him, but I'm saying I don't think he did it as intentionally as it may have looked from that chopper view. And the point that I'm trying to make about the frustrating is, I'm with you. I don't think that Asher's necessarily doing something wrong. I'm just making the point that when you do that and some of these guys get angry, they might race you a little bit more aggressive, and they might force him into some of these situations. So again, I'm not trying to play on anybody's side here. I'm just breaking down what it looks like on the track, and it looks to me like some of the guys may be getting frustrated with how hard he's racing. Not to say it's anything wrong, just certainly what it's looked like with some of the contact that 55 and now the 71 and now the 55 have had. Nonetheless, the 01 back in the field. Back up front, though, keeping our eyes on the 24, Nathan Meyer. And how about Brock Whitehead? After a rough start to last week, here he is running for the lead. Green flag is back in the air. 47 of 80 laps complete. And it's a phenomenal restart for the inside line. The 24. Going to hold the inside here is the 71 of Trey Whitehead. Quick to jump to the outside line. 71 going to look up top. Whitehead's got a bit of a side draft. Him and Nathan Meyer will stay side by side as they battle off towards turn number 3. The real battle is out back. A lot more 2x2 on this restart than what we saw in the previous few. Now they'll start to single file it out just a little bit as they get into turn 3. The 19 of John Legger and Brian High still up on the high side of the racetrack. Meyer and Whitehead still 2x2. The 24 of Nathan Meyer down to the bottom of the racetrack. The 61 of Brock Whitehead still looking very fast in his HendrickCars.com Chevy Silverado. And we'll watch that out back. Maybe a block there. Elijah Palmeter fans all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack. As I thought I saw data that we had somebody go off out back. That's why I paused for a minute, but we did not. So everybody keeps it together. The 81 of Correa on the inside here of Tyler Meeks. Correa is still trying to recover after getting involved in that first incident of the night. And then further back, you see William Mann Jr. and a few others. As, looks like Asher Little saw him blinking out right before the restart, and now that truck is parked in the pits. Not sure what happened there, but either way, the 24 of Nathan Meyer now back to the lead, well in control. He's gotten these guys single filed out, and I think James Harris has decided it's time to turn up the dial a little bit. The 55 trying to make his way back towards the front. The 71 just behind him. Those two going to work together here down the front stretch to try to catch the front two. Bryce Rayner also starting to make his way back through the field. Jason Nethery, John Legger. John Legger's got the advantage right now of being really the only truck in that outside line. So he's making a ton of progress. Does that look like Kevin Kirchar down below the apron there, maybe getting ready to pit? Not sure if he's having some sort of issue or wondering for a scheduled stop. Either way, I do want to note that with that last caution, I think everybody's going to be good to go on fuels. Whoa, William Ed Jr. Hold on to it, boys. No, the 29 is going to go around. Oh, big hit. Another caution. Watch out up top. Oh, man. I think that was the 51 of Charles Whitehead who just snuck by. Fifth caution of the night. 51 laps. Average caution every 10 laps. And I'll tell you what, that front stretch has been treacherous with some of these guys. When they start wrecking, it just seems like it's been really difficult for them to save it. We'll go back and watch this here. So here's Meeks coming off the corner. There's a bit of a checkup. So William Ed Jr. takes advantage, goes up top. As he does so, he briefly gets into the outside wall. Now he's coming back down from being on the outside wall. Gets into Meeks once, trying to save it, but it's almost like a ping pong ball or a pinball, whatever you want to call it. Each time he hits him, he gets more bouncy and out of shape, and then eventually goes around, collects the 316 of Sheldon Pearson. Those two go hard in the wall, but man, I know Charles Whitehead still hit the wall, but he did a good job for what it's worth and what could have been a whole lot more contact. So he had to make a last-second adjustment there to not clobber the 29. Here's what it looked like from his point of view. Sees him wrecking, initially trying to figure out where to go, Actually just barely taps the wall. So able to sneak through for the most part. Sheldon Pearson, another driver, took a big hit in the first incident of the night, and unfortunately going to get collected in the second one here. And this one, you hope it doesn't, but you wonder if it might end his night. No longer has that fast pair. There's a big hit off the inside wall as well. Destroys the front suspension. From the onboard view of Sheldon Pearson as well, shows you just not really anything he could do. He was kind of the innocent bystander here as he sees it happening in front, checking up, trying to let these guys get it together, hopes to avoid it. Just gets clipped right there at the last second. Tough break. All right, as we turn our attention back live, getting ready for another restart. Before we do, we're going to take a quick break. First one of the night, but we'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us at Las Vegas.
I played a couple of simulators and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
Three by three.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution.
Welcome back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the Grindstone Developments Truck Series in the Las Vegas 120. Getting ready to go back green with 55 of 80 laps complete. As a green flag back in the air. Good restart on the inside, a checkup on the outside. We'll see if they can sort it out here by the time they get down into turn number 1. Looks like they do, but what that really did was gave Nathan Meyer a much bigger jump on this restart than he's had the previous few. And you got to be careful because you can get too far out here, especially on fresher tires or a restart. But I think he's going to be okay. Second place is a 2x2 battle. They stall each other out. But it's going to be James Harris who's going to get the draft now through 3 and 4. Casey Sprinkle tries a slide job up in front of the 71 of Trey Whitehead. He makes that move work for now. Whitehead back down to the apron. Elijah Palmeter will now sneak to the inside. Outside. That's Bryce Rayner going to the inside, though, in the 99 maroon PC machine. Brock Whitehead continues to impress up here. He's been running top 3 the last couple restarts, and 25 to go. We're starting to close in on the end of this. He could be a potential threat here to grab his first win of the season tonight. Brock Whitehead going to see if he can get to the outside of Nathan Meyer here as they get down into the corner. The leader has been the hardest one to pass all night. That clean air has been so crucial, though. So, these guys are just going to fight more and more for it. By the way, notice track temp. Under 80 degrees. That is pretty cool. Obviously, one of the lights here in Vegas, so you would expect it to be that way, but that makes it much tougher to pass the leader on the outside than it normally would be because there's more grip overall. And so the inside isn't as much of a disadvantage as it would be if it was hot and slick. And the other thing to notice is the speeds these guys run in the draft. Look at James Harris here on the bottom of the racetrack. Brock Whitehead, 182 miles an hour at the end of the straightaway. Again, just to give you an idea of why I say it's so similar to what we could see next week at Daytona. Just a shorter track and runs different, obviously, in the long run. Is, boy, Trey Whitehead, big move out back. So he went from top all the way down to the bottom. Nothing to show for it. 61 Whitehead, though, by the way, is your biggest mover, up 10 from where he started this race at. And looking for the lead with 22 laps to go. Brock Whitehead on the outside. He's got the advantage, and now he might get the help as well. The 55 of Harris chooses to go high. A little bit of contact now. The 61 up to the third. Harris is going to try to squeeze it to the middle. Is there enough room? Harris has to bail and go back to the top, and they all managed to make it work. 24 Meyer trying to cover. Brock Whitehead really starting to turn up the aggression. He knows he needs to get by this 24 before these tires start to wear out. By the way, I know we didn't get to actually show you tonight. We've had a lot of craziness on track, which is part of it. Is now we're going to see some more trouble out back. Charles Whitehead and Tyler Meeks go around as they are now nose to nose up in the turn 1 and 2 wall. Caution back out. And we are going to set up for another restart. Now inside 20 laps to go. Well, I kind of saw this one beginning in the back end of our camera angle here. It looked like another incident where these guys all kind of squeezed together coming out of the kind of curved tri-oval up towards the end of the straightaway. And you see right here the 51, that's Charles Whitehead. He's coming up the track here. Gets into Meeks. I'm not really sure if he thought that Meeks was going to be going up a little sooner or what the deal was, but it just comes right up into the driver's side door of Tyler Meeks. That sends Meeks up the track and then just keeps running him up. Meeks is out of room, and the 51 just pins him into the wall until they eventually both get into it, turn around, and eventually get turned the other way. And I know it's iRacing, so you can't make any hand signals, but I bet if you could, Tyler Meeks would have had one there that we would have saw from the windshield view of Charles Whitehead. I'm sure he didn't appreciate that too much. So we watch this again here. This is the onboard view of Charles Whitehead. I want to go back to all the way where this started. So he's on the apron as he comes up. Maybe got a little bit unstable when he was transitioning from that apron back onto the track, but overall just really runs him out of room. Again, obviously nothing at all that Tyler Meeks could do right there. Get one or two more angles of this here before we go back live and set up for a restart within 20 laps to go. I tell you what, it has really been, I don't want to call it a caution-filled night, but we have certainly seen our fair share of cautions. Brandon, I know you've heard probably the term in real NASCAR when they say cautions breed cautions, and it kind of feels that way here tonight. Perfect timing, though, because I was getting ready to say we didn't get to show you the schedule because there's been too much chaos on track. Now that we have another caution, get the opportunity to do so. And again, next week, the big one to circle because it is Daytona International Speedway. So certainly looking forward to that. After that, we'll head off to the Brickyard in Indianapolis Motor Speedway for some action at the Brickyard. Then we'll head to Worldwide Technology. That track going to be certainly one of the more technical ones on the schedule before we head off to Lucas Oil. That will be one of the short tracks. Kentucky, Watkins Glen, Richmond. The other big one I think to circle on there, in my opinion, is going to be the final race at New Atlanta. Certainly another track where we tend to see a lot of chaos at. Similar to what we've seen here tonight, but tell you what, Nathan Meyer has looked really in control of most of this race. I got to think he's feeling pretty good right now. Let's see if that's the case. Hey, Nathan Meyer, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, man, what's going on?
Good. Well, you've looked really good here tonight, man. You've been on fire. You've been at the front. It feels like all night. We're starting to get closer to the end, though. Do you still feel pretty comfortable knowing that we could see quite a few late race restarts?
Yeah, we'll see, man. I know just like I got to stay up front, get that clean air, saves your tires, and, once you get kind of back in the pack that, you just get marred in the crazy. So I'll try to keep it aggressive blocking on the restarts, and hopefully we can pull it out.
Indeed. The other question I got for you here is we know tires do mean something. Do you have a set left? And with the amount of laps left, is there any thought of using him?
Yeah, I think we all just took our last set here, so I think we all got what we got, and it's just a race to the end.
All right, 18 laps should be enough to make the tires last. Nathan, we appreciate you talking to us. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks, man.
All right, there you go. So, yeah, these guys, the other thing that I wanted to note that we didn't get to see as we were going through the caution and schedule there is everybody taking their final set of tires right here, at least a broad majority of your leaders. And that's obviously important because, well, now it's going to be an all-out brawl to the finish. No more pit strategy. No more tire strategy. 17 laps, I think, is a pretty good amount to still be able to push it the whole way. But now Casey Sprinkle with some opportunity. He joins Nathan Meyer on the front row, but it's Meyer who gets the better restart. 17 laps remaining at Las Vegas, and it's a great jump for the 24 of Meyer. He's going to lead everybody down towards turn number 1. Nathan Meyer going to have to maybe make a block here. The 61 of Brock Whitehead, he's got good momentum. Where's he going to go? He'll jump to the top. Meyer doesn't cover. Meyer wants to stay on the bottom. Whitehead's going to have to now follow back into turn 3. Bryce Rayner has also now made his way back up here. We're seeing a mix of some of the best and a few guys who are looking for their first win of the season. 16 laps to go. The field did spread out, interestingly enough, on this start. So it's only about your front 6 that you can actually throw under a blanket at the moment. Meanwhile, further back, watch out for Elijah Palmeter, Tyler Meeks, and John Legger trying to get together and catch up to this pack. Trey Whitehead going to go 3 wide to the bottom. He's got to hold it down there, bumps the apron. The 71 truck getting really, really loose. He's got to get out of the gas. That allows Rayner and Whitehead to pull back clear. Rayner's going to pull into the draft of Nathan Meyer. Whitehead, though, still up top, trying to use that momentum. Such a tough thing to do here when everybody's on new tires, especially once you get about third on back, you start to be able to make some moves, but these front 3, it's so hard for them to pass each other because they all have somewhat clean air and they're all on brand new tires, so they're all pretty much flat out the whole way around. It's just really, really difficult to build up that run unless you have somebody get behind you and push. And when they do this, it's what Nathan Meyer wants to see is they race each other for second. They start to stall out, they use up more tire, and it allows Nathan Meyer to have something for the end and also try to sneak away from these guys with 13 and a half laps to go. Nathan Meyer still fending off the 61 of Whitehead on the inside. You wonder if at some point, if Whitehead can't find a way around the outside, does he try to get a little physical? Maybe see if he can get that 24 a little bit loose going into the corner and try to get on his inside. Further back, looks like the 71 and the 59 going at it. Casey Sprinkle throwing a couple of blocks to try to hold off the 71 of Trey Whitehead. 99 of Bryce Rayner here as well. Where will he go? decided if he wanted to make a move, decided better of it, and stayed behind the 71 to just push. Up front, man, Whitehead is doing everything. I would almost argue that if Brock Whitehead got the lead here, he'd be a really competitive pick. It seems like, I know I can't say he has the better truck because everybody's on the same setup, but he really does seem to be a little bit better than Nathan Meyer right now, but he just can't seem to quite find that way around. And he's still going to have 11 laps more to try to find it. As Casey Sprinkle is going to take the defensive line into turn 3. He'll hold on the inside of the 71. As we'll watch out, Whitehead into Meyer. Meyer big time loose. He's going to save it as Nathan Meyer loses the lead and had to make a huge catch coming off of turn 4 just to save that race truck. Middle of 3 wide. They're going to stay that way going into turn number 1. Who's going to get the advantage? This could decide who gets a run at your leader. Nathan Meyer wants some vengeance, wants some payback, if you will, as Brock Whitehead loosened him up. But can Meyer get clear? Whitehead back up to the middle. They stay 3 wide. Nathan Meyer just able to pull clear of Casey Sprinkle. And now I think he may very well try to rough up the rear end of the 61. Brock Whitehead. Whitehead felt like he had to get him loose. Trouble out back over. Goes to 71. That's Trey Whitehead. Big damage. As the 70 of Chris Logan appears to have also gotten involved. And for Trey Whitehead, goes from a shot at winning to now basically being done. As saw that truck go into the inside wall and gonna go back up into the outside wall. I'm not sure if he's just trying to limp it back or what, but there goes the motor. And yeah, he's trying to get this thing to turn, but it just won't. So he's trying to limp it back, but it's just certainly not helping him. Obviously a lot better than having to pay a tow bill here. But with both front suspension pieces broke off, Trey Whitehead doesn't have much control of this thing, and he's going to lock it down and unfortunately have to pay the tow bill here. First truck that we have seen. I believe he flipped. He certainly got more than enough airtime. That would be the first flip that we've seen this season. Watch this again here as they're coming off the corner. In fact, we're going to go to the aerial view. This was tight racing between the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place trucks, and 71 of Trey Whitehead here is trying to get in the draft behind Sprinkle, now Brock Whitehead, but Rayner doesn't bite. I think that Trey Whitehead was expecting Bryce Rayner here to go down, but Rayner doesn't want to. He's got the position on the 71, so he doesn't want to go down and lose the side draft, so he stays there. And the 71 just starts to come down right there. See the 71 go... I actually backed it up a little bit more. I know that's not the best angle. Play this full speed for you here from the blimp cam. See the 71? It's going to start to go down, and once he goes across the nose of Bryce Rayner, gets up and over, and he may not have technically fully flipped, but you might as well call it that. Then you see the 70 of Chris Logan, nowhere to go. So he gets a pretty good piece of this as well. Watch this from TV1. Certainly the wildest wreck that we have seen here tonight. Look at this thing go. See Bryce Rayner pushing him, helps the air get up under the truck and lands on its side. So wasn't able to quite complete the flip, and then takes that big hit into the outside wall. That's what tore up the suspension for Whitehead, and it's not done there. He's going to get another big shot right here. Chris Logan nowhere to go, and that's what destroys his left front suspension. Ultimately leads to all the damage that he receives in this one. Give you one more view of this here. In fact, give you 2 more views. First from the pit lane cam. And I want to give you one more view, of course, the actual onboard shot of what this looks like. And if you get a little bit dizzy, you might want to close your eyes. Here we go. So big wreck for Trey Whitehead puts us under caution for the 7th time here tonight as we get ready to go back to green flag racing with what will be 7 laps to go. Brock Whitehead and Nathan Meyer up front. You see a little bit of battle marks, at least on Nathan Meyer's truck. I'm sure if we looked hard enough, we could find one on the 61 of Brock Whitehead as well. Shows you how hard those two have been going at it last handful of laps or so, and I don't think you're going to see anything change. 7 laps to go is not very long here Got to make the most of it. If you're just tuning in, you picked a great time to do so. The Grindstone Developments Truck Series with a 7-lap sprint to the finish in Vegas. Here we go. Back into the restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. 7 laps to go here at Vegas. That time it was the bigger jump for Brock Whitehead. This is his first opportunity to grab the lead right out of the gate. So now Nathan Meyer is going to have to go on the offense. The 59 of Casey Sprinkle, though, on the inside. This is going to be all about which lane does the 61 give draft to. And he chooses to give it to the inside. Casey Sprinkle is going to get a big pull here down the backstretch. Not enough to get clear the 24, at least not yet. Casey wants to slide up, borderline clear, but the 24, Nathan Meyer, not giving it to him. Continues to side draft. The 55 of Harris can't help his teammate and has to keep it low. They're going to now try to ditch the 59. They'll try the high side into turn 1. Brock Whitehead continues to stay down low. Meyer's got a big run. Whitehead's going to have to throw a block right here. Nathan Meyer nowhere to go. Casey Sprinkle on the inside. The 24 pushes the 61 right back out in front. They continue to battle further on back. James Harris fading just a little bit as he gets side by side with Elijah Palmeter and Jamison Correa, who came out of nowhere here late in the race, now up 7 positions from where he started. He's trying to break his way back into the top 5 before things are all said and done. Speaking of 5, just 5 laps remaining here at Vegas. The 61 of Brock Whitehead still out in front, trying to hold off the charging Nathan Meyer, who's going to go to the inside. Nathan Meyer has a run, and he's going to get there. The 61 of Whitehead starts to drift up, and now it's a side-by-side battle for the lead with just 4 laps to go. Whitehead's got a side draft. He's doing everything he can to hold the 24 even. Casey Sprinkle tries to give some aid to the top lane, but it's not enough. Nathan Meyer slides clear. Whitehead wants the crossover. He won't get it. Nathan Meyer parks it on the bottom. Now they go back to the top. Nathan Meyer doing everything he can. You heard him in the interview say he's going to have to throw some blocks here to win this race, and he is doing just that. Brock Whitehead able to use the outside momentum again. He's going to look for another move. Nathan Meyer blocks him all the way down to the grass. That's going to force Whitehead to go right back up top. Whitehead not able to get there yet. Nathan Meyer, you know, he's hoping we can see this white flag with as aggressive as things are getting. Out back, a little bit of 2x2, maybe even some 3 wide further towards the back. But we're keeping the cameras up front because this is the battle for the race win. Remember, we got to make it all the way to the white flag for this race to be official. It means we still have a 1.5 miles until that's going to happen. Brock Whitehead wants another crossover. Meyer was a little bit late on the block. Whitehead almost turned it, but now he's going to get the run to the outside. Where does Casey Sprinkle go to the bottom? He's going to turn the 24 Meyer hard into the inside wall. Back up the track, cleans out Rayner. And he'll clean out a few more in the process. The 56 of Thacker's in it. And for Nathan Meyer, goes from a shot at winning to his race over as he takes it to the pits. And that truck is destroyed. And this one was heavy casualties. It took out quite a few drivers. And initially I said Casey Sprinkle turned him, but I think there might have either been some net code. At least from the blimp cam, that's what it looked like. But let's back all the way up to where this starts here, and it's going to be coming off of 4. You see what the 61's doing. He's got a big run on the outside. Because these guys are new tires, he can still bring that truck back down to the bottom as they get off the corner. So he's trying to use that momentum to cross over the 24. And as soon as they get to the exit, he's got Meyer not quite beat, but close enough to where it gets Meyer a little bit loose as he covers with the block. That allows the 61 now to go back up top. And then here comes the 59 of Casey Sprinkle, and I think Meyer thought that Casey was going to push him. Casey says, I don't think so, and immediately jumps to the bottom, and from that angle, it also looks like there was definitely some netcode between these two. Show you again, I mean, Casey cuts it close, but I don't think he actually hits him. Right there is where it looks like it really starts to turn the 24. Man, that almost might be too close for me to actually call. If there was contact, boy, it was slight, and I mean so slight. See if we can go. This is about as close as we can get here. Again, if there was contact, it had to be ever so slight, but it immediately turns a 24 around and hard hit into the inside wall. And for Nathan Meyer, I mean, there's nothing he can do. As soon as he got turned right there, he was in no man's land with how quick the inside wall was coming up. And as hard as he hits it, he's going to go straight back into the outside wall. And that's where he collects Rayner and the 56 at Thacker, both with massive hits in this one as well. It's been a rough night for Brad Thacker also, who this is his second incident getting caught up in, and he doesn't have a fast spur left, so his night is going to unfortunately be over. And really nothing they could do because it all happened so quick. There's a 24 coming back up the track, and Tyler Meeks didn't even see that initially, but he took a huge hit as well. And obviously we talked about Brad Thacker. Does he collect 51 here? No. Charles Whitehead gets lucky and almost kind of net codes through him there just a little bit. Watch this hit one or two more times here for Nathan Meyer. This would look like from pit lane 1. You can't really see it from there. Some really, really big hits in this one. So it now puts us under caution for the 8th time tonight and will send us to the first attempt at a green-white checkered. And as the lights go off, let's talk about the rules for a green-white checkered. It's a 2-lap shootout in which the leader must take the white flag for the race to be official. If we get a caution before the white flag, we'll rack them up and try it again. Once the white flag's out, it is official. And from there on out, it's all about who can get back to the checkered flag first. 61 Brock Whitehead still lined up on the front row, but this time he's going to have James Harris, last week's winner, looking to go back-to-back to his outside in second. You're going to have Casey Sprinkle and Elijah Palmeter lining up in the second row, and rounding out the top 5, it's going to be John Legger. So keep an eye here. The 81 of Correa, don't rule him out either. See what happens. Christopher McCullough, good to see you in the chat. Sebastian Seacrest, good to see you in the chat as well. Lorraine Neja, forgot to give you guys a shout out earlier. And Mike the Speed, good to see everybody in here tonight. Well, this is it. This is where you got to lay it all on the line. Pay window is open. Who wants it the most? Who's going to get the job done tonight? Let's find out. iRacing.com pace car going to pull off potentially for the final time here tonight. Could be our final restart. Got to get a good jump here if you're Brock Whitehead. Here we go. Green flag back in the air. 2 laps to go, and it's a phenomenal jump for Brock Whitehead. Big checkups out back, but Whitehead is going to be able to pull 2 or 3 from the inside clear. One of those is the 59 of Casey Sprinkle, who quickly shuffles into second. James Harris got caught sleeping, and he is losing all sorts of track position right now. It's a 2-truck race for the win. Sprinkle looks low. Now he looks high. Nowhere to go as he'll have to stay behind Brock Whitehead through turn 3 and 4. Whitehead's going to keep everybody in line now as they'll see the white flag. 1 lap to go from Vegas. Casey Sprinkle going to take another look to the outside. Now he'll go back to the inside. Does he get there? Yes, he does. The 61 Whitehead tries to block, but he won't be able to do it. Oh, man, this is going to come down to what does Correa do? Who does he push, or does he split them both? Side by side down the hill straight away for the final time. Correa's going to push the outside. Sprinkle with no help on the bottom, trying to stick with the 61 of Whitehead. They're going to be door to door. This is going to be a photo finish off of turn 4, all the way back to the checkered flag. Sprinkle on the inside. Not going to do it. Brock Whitehead holds him off and gets the win at Las Vegas. Brock Whitehead gets the momentum coming off of turn 4. And after holding them all off for the last 2 laps, he is your race winner here at Vegas. Well, I'll tell you what, 2 races and 2 absolute thrillers in terms of the finishes this season. I know we've seen some more cautions, but oh my goodness, what a finish. The official gap, we'll get it when we actually look at the scoring, but it's less than 100th of a second between Brock Whitehead and Casey Sprinkle. And to be honest, I thought Casey was going to get it. Coming back to the line, he's able to cut the track the shorter way around, but that outside momentum was enough to propel the 61 to his first win of the season. All right, as Brock Whitehead continues to burn it down, we're going to hear from him here in just a little bit. Let's take a look at tonight's finishing results here from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And again, Your race winner here tonight is none other 61 of Brock Whitehead, and do apologize. For some reason, we're having a little bit of trouble getting the standings up here, so we'll continue to work on that here. See if we can't get that situated. And if we can't, we will, of course, go through them manually. And for some reason, it does not want to display me the results, so we may very well have to go by this the manual way. Okay, well, good enough. We'll pull it back up with your race winner along with the scoring tower. And again, Brock Whitehead is your official race winner tonight. The official scoring less than 100th of a second between him and second place finisher Casey Sprinkle. Jamison Correa finishes in third. Jason Ellery taking home fourth. Elijah Palmeter rounding out your top five. John Legger finishes in seventh here tonight. Excuse me, it's going to be James Harris in sixth. John Legger seventh. Charles Whitehead finishing in eighth. Chris Logan in ninth, and Bryce Rayner rounding out the top 10. Brad Thacker finishes in 11th. William Mann Jr. in 12th. Nathan Meyer 13th, with Tyler Meeks in 14th. And then the last of the Whiteheads to finish here tonight was Trey Whitehead after being involved in that incident. Finishes 15th. It's going to be Brian High in 16th, with Asher Little in 17th. And then you've got Sheldon Pearson finishing 18th, Kevin Kirchar 19th, and George Young rounding out your top 10. All right, we are going to go grab your top three for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Las Vegas. All right, we'll kick things off here first tonight with your race winner, driver of the number 61, Brock Whitehead. Brock, this is all set up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, man, you get the job done tonight. Your first win of the season, and boy, you had to earn it, especially at the end. Tell us about what was going through your mind first off those last two laps, trying to hold off the 59 of Casey Sprinkle.
Yeah, it was definitely intense. I didn't want to give up the bottom, but then I also knew my trick liked the middle. I got a good jump on James. I don't know if he missed his shift. I blocked Casey down the back stretch, and then he got underneath me on the last lap out of two. For sure, I thought it was over, but I didn't give up and just punched him down in the turn, and just rode out. I don't know how I edged him out. It says .000, so I don't even know how it. The whole tie thing is crazy.
Yeah, it certainly is, but you did just inch him out at the line to get your first win. I know it's got to feel good, especially knowing that we're going to tracks that aren't going to drive anywhere the same, but certainly some similarities. Obviously, next week, Daytona, another big drafting track. Do you feel like maybe you can take this momentum and go back-to-back there?
Yeah, I'm fairly decent at super speedways. I'm a pretty good pusher and can take pushes, so I think that'll be a pretty good, another pretty good track for us, or for me. And maybe we can get Trey up there, or even my dad. It just depends. But yeah, I think I can carry the momentum because, we were full throttle tonight, which was insane. I've never been full throttle through Las Vegas. But yeah, I think I could take it and run on with it next week too.
Absolutely. Well, it's a thriller of a finish for your first win this season. So before we let you head out, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Kevin and James for putting the league on, for you for broadcasting, and my team, and everybody who sits there and talks to us in the race.
Absolutely. And Brock, thank you for talking to us. Congrats again on that win. Big one in the first of the season for you. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right, and now that's going to bring us up to tonight's second place finisher, and that is Casey Sprinkle. Let's see how he's feeling after that crazy finish. Hey, Casey Sprinkle, this is all set up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes.
Well, man, you do a phenomenal job here tonight, but you come up just 1,000th short at the end of the day. What more do you think you needed to inch him out at the line right there?
I don't know. Probably just cutting the apron just ever so slightly more. It says 0.000 on my screen. It was one of the closest finish I've ever seen on iRacing. And what's crazy is I just bought this track today, so I didn't even really know what I was doing. That's why I wrecked the 24. Big apologies to Nathan there. I didn't know what I was doing there. I just dived it off in there for some reason. But I guess maybe back up 1 and 2 or 3 and 4, maybe more. Like I said, I don't really know what I'm doing. So I was just selling it off in 3 there, trying to get to his inside. And maybe if that car that was behind him, I think it was like the 81, didn't AO push him down the backstretch and instead push me, maybe that, or I gave him the door in 3. I don't know. I'm just fine with what happened.
Well, you certainly look like you knew what you were doing here tonight, getting that second place finish. And, throughout most of the race, we saw you up front. Did you get any sort of indication early that track position was really, really important here?
Definitely, but yeah, I mean, probably. I think I tried to stay up front most of the time, except for that one time I pitted. I think that's the only time I wasn't in the top 5. And also staying on the bottom for the restarts. That was a big key as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, Casey, it's not quite the win tonight, but for your first start of the season, a podium is a pretty good way to have it. So before we let you head out tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Really just want to apologize to the 24. Want to thank you for broadcasting. I didn't have really no teammates in this race, and I don't even know who put on this race. Who even did host it? Well, whoever the admin and the host are. I know James was one of the admin, or I think James Harris. Whoever hosted it.
Absolutely. And Casey, thank you for talking to us. Congrats again on the second place finish, and hopefully we'll see you next week at Daytona.
Thank you. I definitely will be there probably.
All right, that's going to now bring us up to tonight's third place finisher, and try to set some things up here as we do so. But that is none other than the 81 of Jameson Correa. Jameson, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yep, I got a copy.
Well, man, you finished third tonight in one of the craziest comebacks that you've had in the season I've got to broadcast for you guys. You get wrecked early, you kind of hang around at the back, but then there you are in contention to win it right at the end. What was kind of going through your mind? Was there a driver up front that you were trying to help, or did you just feel like there wasn't anywhere to go in those last 2 laps?
Right. Well, really, I wasn't really going to help any of them. I was just going to back down. I was kind of nervous because I felt like one of them was going to wreck each other, and then it was going to be madhouse from there. So, yeah, really just, nervous, but then, okay, you can get through a lap and see if there's a hole, poke through it.
Well, you speak about nerves, and, I got to think when you get involved in an incident that early, it makes you nervous to go up there and try to race, knowing that you don't really have a fast spare anymore. Did that kind of play into why you hung back for so long?
Actually, I did not use my fast repair. I just stuck in the pit road and got all my my repairs done, so I actually really use my fast repair. So, yeah.
Well, there you go. Hey, nonetheless, Jameson, good podium for you here tonight. I think that we're going to see you contended for that championship at the end of the season. So before we let you head out, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yep, Team Conti, my teammate Bryce Reiner, he helps a lot. RSM, Roll Speed Motorsports, my mom, my dad, my brother, he always keeps me company. All my cousins, my friends, everyone that's helped me on this journey, and my story is only beginning.
Absolutely. Jameson, we appreciate you talking to us. Congrats again on the third place finish. We will see you hopefully next week.
Yep, I hope I get to be with you. Awesome broadcaster.
Thank you. All right, that is now just about going to wrap up our coverage here tonight. Again, apologies that we didn't get the official results screen up. Not sure what the issue was there, but nonetheless, what we did get was a heck of a finish here tonight, a thriller. And 2 out of 2 races so far this season have been fun to watch. Can't wait to see what we're going to have next week at the World Center of Racing Daytona International Speedway. Make sure you tune in for that one. 2 races, 2 new winners. We'll see if we can make it a third next week. As always, thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed. That's it for me, Austin Green, here on PGR eSports. And until next time, have a good night.